Professor Sharma, Vice Chancellor of Amity University, Haryana, Dr. Nagpal, Professor Khanna, Dr. Banerjee, Pro Vice Chancellor of this esteemed university, my friend and elder, Professor S.S. Nathawat, Professor S.S. K. Srivastava, and Sister Nikki, and Professor Shraddha, and dear students. I stand before you to share my views on spirituality. As far as spirituality is concerned, it is ingrained in the lives of every person. To me, every person is spiritual in nature. There is a paradigm like from spirituality to religion to spirituality. Before we came to this world, we were spiritual. When we exist in this world, we have become religious. Since I am born in the Muslim family, I have become a followers of the Islam. And those who are born in the Hindu family, they have become a followers of the Hinduism. When we will die, again we will be spiritual, because our spirit will be transformed from this world to the another world. Our body will be buried here. This is the realm of causality which is found in every person. I envision 21st century as the age of spirituality. So this field is so wide, it is not confined to one particular discipline. Rather than it goes beyond, or it touches the boundary of almost every field. That is to say, it has linked with the religion, science, poetry, literature, art, scripture, painting, everywhere spirituality is there. So before I take up this, you may say, deliver my keynote address, I would like to cite two quotes. One was by the Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. He was a great Islamic philosopher. What he said, entering the spiritual path is like a shooting on an arrow at a point one cannot see, so that one does not know what is aimed at. Another, Brahma Kumari, in the words of Brahma Kumari, there are two great healers, God and time, which helps in managing almost every type of stress. Human spirituality is concerned. Of course, it can be conceptualized. I tried my level best, because a number of the Western scholars says that there are three ways of spiritfulness: believing in sacredness, believing in unity, and believing in transformation. But I thought that perhaps, as far as the spirituality, since it is too much broad, the concept, so of course what I considered, because most of us have an abstract idea about it, perhaps it is more abstract concept, it is only linked with the knowledge, it has nothing to do with the practice. For example, like in the words of Bhagavad Gita, there is nothing pure as the knowledge. Similarly in the Quran, O Lord, increase me in knowledge, not in terms of wealth and power. So knowledge is one of the prerequisites of spirituality. So what I said is spirituality basically what kind of the knowledge it can. The knowledge in terms of the teaching of God, because the God has transcendent knowledge in the form of scriptures like Gita, Ramayana, Holy Quran, Bible. It is the knowledge of the actions of God, like in renunciation, the concept of renunciation, where it is also, it is the action of the God. Knowledge about the prophets and the God's leaders. Similarly, spirituality, it is a mystical quest, you may say. Like in the Quran, there is a hadith, he who knows himself knows his Lord. It means understanding the self is more important. Earlier we used to say, to understand the self, forget the self. But no, to me, to understand the self means understand the self. That is more important. So, knowledge also about the unseen world. This kind of the knowledge we get in death. Because whenever there is a question arises about the death, there are two consequences of the death. One is the knowledge about the consequence of this worldly. Say, what will happen to my family members? Who will bear expenses related to my coffin? And the knowledge of the unseen world. Sometimes we also raise certain metaphysical questions. Is there any life after life? Is there any life after death? Whether I will go to attain hell or heaven? So such type of the unseen world, we also question certain questions. Knowledge of the presence of the reality. So this kind of the knowledge is there. Another, practice. Spirituality is a practice uniting the individual self with the other self and universal self by practicing a number of things. So this, as far as the characteristics of the spirituality related is concerned, so of course this knowledge is, practice is experience about realizing to the self. Because sometimes we practice, but we do not know about its unity to the others. So as far as the spirituality in terms of practice is concerned, it may be linked with the biological spirituality, it may be linked with the social spirituality, it may be linked with the marital spirituality. Almost every field it has link. So spirituality is also elaborate in terms of the physical systems, spiritual systems or psychological system. Similarly, in terms of practice, yoga can be practiced in every situation. So spiritual practices like prayer, fasting, zakat, that is to say, or welfare for the others, all the religious practices are linked with the spirituality. But frankly speaking, we practice, but we do not understand the significance in spiritual as well as in religious terms. So that's why recently Koenig said about 90% of the people use religious and spiritual practices in daily life for the coping with the stress or for improving their well-being. So what is spirituality? On an average, say for example, almost every week I used to write some definition, what is spirituality? Because still I am not, you may say satisfied. So I tried my level best to define it so many perspectives. It is easy to understand once it is discovered. Spirituality embraces many truths by which meaning in life can be understood fully. What changes the body, heart, mind and brings together for the spirituality? Spirituality is a phenomenon of evolved person. Spirituality is a source of excelling in good deeds. It means positive virtues like truthfulness, compassion, trustworthiness, benevolence, humility, serenity. Spirituality is a unique reservoir of immeasurable power. Frankly speaking, in general sense, we use only 3% of our cognitions. Einstein used 7% of his cognitive level. He became a great scientist. About 97% of our power we do not have any awareness. So what I did, simply I used the word acronym as an spirituality because the word spirituality has 12 letters. SPIRITUALITY, and tried to link with the knowledge and practice. These are you may say model like a knowledge, so many sacredness, positive energy, intellect, reasoning, inner experience, transcendence, universalism, awareness, life force, intuition, transformation, yearning. With regard to practice, sacraments, purification, initiation, renunciation, illumination, temperance, unity, awakening, love, imagination, tranquility, and the last Y is yoga. So in brief, I would like to tell you in brief about those concepts, what I understand. Sacredness. Anything in your life may be sacred. As far as the spirituality is concerned, it is not only found among religious people. Rather than any non-religious person may also be spiritual. So it means not only worshipping to God is sacred. Anything may be sacred in your life. Place may be sacred. Your job or occupation may be sacred to you. Or your teacher may be sacred. In relationship to your husband or your children or the wife may be sacred to you. Anything may be sacred in your life. So sacredness, basically it is a way of keeping the individual in touch with his deepest feeling. Any number may be sacred to you. The another is sacraments. In terms of practice, I relate sacrament. In the Hindu sanskar, there are 16 sacraments are there, sanskar, which are further maybe divided into so many rituals and practices like in 52. Before we do any task, we perform certain or do certain practices. Similarly, in the followers of the Islam, they also do. They also observe 2 rakat namaz nafil. Or after doing any work, they do 2 rakat namaz shukrana, gratitude. Sacraments is there. So this, of course, all the elements of action, all Vedic sanskaras are held in the presence of nature's elements. Whether it is marriage, funeral or worship. In every, you may say, sacraments are there. Another concept which I took, positive energy. I define spirituality generates positive energy in the form of spiritual virtues. That is to say, in the form of peace. It develops peace. It develops generosity, compassion, benevolence, truthfulness, trustworthiness. As far as because suppose if you take an example of like an Hatha Yogi, of course, he is able to transform his physical energy into psychic energy. If you ask his question, of course, he may not be able to give an answer how he transforms. But he does. So, of course, it makes him perfect to do such kind of the practices. So, everything is universal, is made up of energy. So, all beings are manifestation in the form of energy. We have used some spiritual energy, physical energy, psychic energies. But anyhow, this is the natural element. Perfection. Perfection is also one of the practice. It is linked with the practice. God or human being as a whole is perfect. God has created human being as a perfect one. So I quoted Sri Aurobindo, points out all yoga is nothing but practical psychology. Its aim is self-perfection. To be a self-perfectionist, everyone is supposed to you may say, maintain spiritual discipline. Discipline of the body that you can maintain through asanas. In yoga, there are 84,000 asanas are there. Another is discipline of the mind through niyamas. In the Ashtanga Yoga, the last 3 are linked with the niyamas, mental exercises, which may help you in maintaining discipline of the mind. Another is discipline of the heart is also necessary for expressing positive thoughts, positive perception. That is also. And the last one is discipline of enduring personal and social relationship. That is also needed. So perfection is required. Intellect. It relates well with the knowledge. It refers to the faculty of knowing, mental power, understanding and intelligence. For example, in the organizations, we are more concerned about the emotional intelligence or spiritual intelligence. Emotional intelligence, that is ability to handle relationship and makes good personal decisions, are more important for the real life success rather than the academic intelligence, your percentage of marks or something like that. So this intellect is necessary. So a man of intellect should adopt the path of righteous people. Righteous people to whom you have a faith. Like in Hinduism, Lord Rama, Prophet Muhammad, Hazrat Ali, Gautam Buddha, they are the righteous people. So basically intellect, because they have provided us. Initiation. A spiritual initiation starts at a higher level, which guides the individual through a process of greater exposure of knowledge. This may include the revelation of secrets usually received at a higher level of understanding. Every individual has certain intuition. If you do not have any, if you do not take any initiation, of course you cannot do or perform any task. For any, type of problems, solving any problem, one has to take initiative. So this is supposed to be practiced. One should not surrender simply say, okay, if we cannot do it. Reasoning. Reasoning also in a one or relates well with the knowledge. Human beings have the superior reasoning power. It manifested through a way of thinking and interpreting and spiritual union. So reasoning in psychology we deal in the field of cognitive sciences. For example, scientific research into the reasoning is carried out within the field of psychology and cognitive psychology. So this is, we use inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning. Without any reasoning, cannot solve any problem. We apply this technique. Renunciation. Of course, renunciation means in terms of the Bhagavad Gita, renunciation is the actions of the God, basically. So this concept also can well explained in Nepali. There is a word known as nikhamma. Nikhamma is a Pali word which is translated as renunciation, conveying wholly of freedom from lust, craving or desires. Because nowadays most of us behavior is governed by the evils and vices. So we are supposed to keep away from this. That is needed. So in the Buddha identified renunciation as a part of path to awakening. When attending to renunciation, the individual minds develop the confidence and the steadfastness. So this renunciation, for example, if you relate with the religious practice like fasting, why we do fasting? Because it develops tolerance, it develops patience, it develops steadfastness. So fasting has a spiritual significance. Inner experience. Spirituality deals with inner resources or experiences of the individual with his intrinsic motivation. So as I told you, the man is spiritual by nature. So a state of spiritual realization is also an inner experience. So everyone, particularly youth, generally develops the feeling of rejection or fear of or failure. They usually develop. So if you have enough power, but the only thing which matters is there is need to motivate to the self. Don't accept that someone others will motivate your behavior. You have enough power to motivate yourself. So one should have a hope of power rather than to the fear of power or fear of rejection. Illumination. Just now, about 15 minutes ago, we have did the lighting of this lamp. It's this activity, or you may say tradition, it's still a illumination process. So illumination form of wisdom transmitted through spiritual means, such as divine presence. When we do, we felt the presence of the God. Similarly, when we do prayer, the illumination is also there. So during the course of the prayer, we establish connectivity with the God. That is a kind of vertical spirituality. When we meet each other and appreciate another's or give any sort of an encouragement, that is also kind of the social spirituality or horizontal spirituality is there. Transcendence. This is concept, which is studied in the field of psychology also. God has transcends knowledge in the form of scriptures. So this transcend has different connotations or the meanings from the vantage point of view of theology or religion, or from the vantage point of philosophy. So the characteristics with the transcends are associated with unity, truth and goodness. Because all the positive virtues, whether you read Gita, Ramayana, Quran or Tirukural, which is one of the Tamil classic, where you will find all the virtues have been emphasized this. So there is a need to transcend this knowledge, good knowledge to the others, not to confine the knowledge what you read in these books, rather than you have also in power. Temperance. Recently, Seligman talked about the temperance in the field of positive psychology. Defined temperance is strengths that protect against excess. This knowledge, temperance, actually identifies 24 character strengths and relates with the different populations. So what are those character strengths? These are well explained in our scriptures. In Vedas, it are well explained. They are not only confined to 24. So many virtues are there. So of course, expressing spiritual values in daily living, recognizing the dignity and worth of each individual regardless of religion, caste and creed or gender, it totally depends on your temperance, what virtues you possess, what values you possess. Universalism. Spirituality is a universal phenomenon. It is not found only in Asians or Indians or any country. It goes beyond. It is found in every person, as I told you. The universe is not an illusion but a true reality and the display of the glory of the divine. So universalism can also be explained in terms of religion, theology. It is a principle. So this is a divine concept. In practice, unity. As I told you, believing in unity is one of the way of soul spiritfulness. So this is concept. So this concept, feeling of oneness, it develops. So similarly, you may say, because the time is very short, you may get the photocopy of this printout, but anyhow, just I would like to tell you in these concepts are there. So I explained about the awareness concept, about the, you may say, linked with the knowledge and awakening with the practice, and life force with the knowledge, and love with the practice, and intuition with the knowledge, and imagination with the practice, because it refers to the ability to create pictures. Without imagination, there is nothing, creativity. Transformation is there, because this implies believing in spiritual continuity and rebirth. So this is also concept. Tranquility is there, because those who are spiritual in nature, they are more interested to attain inner peace, that is to say tranquility. At the end, why is there? Yearning. I quoted Bhagavad Gita, for one who is fasting, the sense object disappears, leaving the yearning behind, but one has seen the highest, even the yearning disappears. At the practice, yoga, because I consider there is no other practice which seems to be more potent for improving our well-being or develop the positivity irrespective of the age is yoga. So yoga is a practice of quietening the mind in Patanjali. So of course, way of life, at the conclude, I would like to conclude that God has given us wonderful gifts in the form of useful thoughts, knowledge and practice. God expects us constructive manner. So three types of knowledge as desired among a spiritual person. They are knowledge of mind perfection, knowledge of heart acts, and knowledge of actions are needed. Three kinds of regard. In today's world is spirituality, democracy, spirituality becomes crucial for peaceful coexistence. But regrettably, even in the 21st century, people of India is barefoot of the outcome associated with spirituality. Spirituality is most enriching and must be propagated. We have two kinds of spirituality, one which we experience but do not practice, and another which we practice but do not preach. Messages, when the spirituality disappears, the humanity will fall. Let us all be truly spiritual. My spirituality is a blessed spirituality because my heart is healthy and my soul is pious. Everyone, because for everyone it is more subjective. Every individual has his own experiences. O humans, spirituality resides in our heart, does not search outside. Thank you very much.